So let's get started here. Thanks again for attending, everyone. As Liz said, my name is Yannick. I'm the technical sales lead with Earthsoft, and we want to talk about Edge and EnviroInsite today. So what I want to do today is a little example workflow, which includes field data collection and data analysis in the office then. Right, so we will collect some field data with Edge. We will submit the data to the EQuIS database. We will do that through sign and submit in Edge. And then we will review the data in EnviroInsite. And in between, I probably also have some time to show you some tricks here and there in EnviroInsite to set up some graphics over there. So Edge and EnviroInsite in the EQuIS workflow, you probably all know that schematic view pretty well. So we start over here with our field data collection. So we do that in Edge, right? So Edge is our field data collection tool that runs on Windows-based operating systems, or on Windows operating systems, I should say. As you all know, we will soon have a new field data collection tool called EQuIS Collect, which will also run on iOS and Android devices, and also on Windows devices as well. So, but we will focus on Edge here. We will use a field data collection form to collect some data. From Edge, we will send the data through sign and submit to the EQuIS database, where it is picked up by the EQuIS data processor. The data is checked and validated, and then it is automatically loaded to the EQuIS database. And then we will review the data in EnviroInsite. So that is over here on the reporting side. You see EnviroInsite over there. So let's start with a very quick overview about Edge and EnviroInsite. So that is the form that I will use to collect data today. And we will talk about groundwater data. I collect some pH, some field measurements and general sampling information. This is the GPS tool in Edge. As you probably know, we have a built-in GPS tool that can use the GPS device of your laptop or tablet, or also an external GPS device, for example, with a higher accuracy if you like to do that. So we talk briefly about that, and this is just another screenshot of Edge to just give you a quick overview of what you can do there. So we have built-in field checks in Edge, for example, if the water level depth is outside of our historical range, or if you put in a pH value of 75, for example, when it is 7.5 in reality, and we all know that 75 is not a valid pH value, then you will get a little warning flag in Edge if you set that up. So that is field data collection, electronic field data collection, I should say. In Edge, the EQuIS data gathering engine. And once we did that, we will send the data that we collected to the EQuIS database, where it will be processed, and then we will review that in EnviroInsite. And for that demonstration today, I set up a little document in EnviroInsite. I set up some water levels, contours, also with some tables and some charts that are not over here now. But the whole idea is that you set up this document and that we actually see how the contours change when the new data comes in. If you look very closely, you will also see that we have 6 records for every field measurement over here, so 6 measurement dates. And over here, we only have 5. And that is because we send in a new set of data over here, and there's a little red value actually that is exceeding our action level. So this is the beauty of EnviroInsite, that you can set up a document with contours and diagrams and tables and so on. And you don't have to set this up again when the new data comes in, right? You just refresh your document. The data will be pulled from the EQuIS database, and it will automatically be plotted, and your contours and the other charts and graphics update automatically. So that is what we want to look at today for the demonstration. I touched on that already. We will collect field data in Edge. We will send it to the EQuIS database. We will review the data in EnviroInsite. So different views in EnviroInsite that we will look at, right? So let's jump right into it in Edge over here. So this is Edge. I'm looking at that now. And this is my field data collection form that I set up for our groundwater data over here, right? Now, before I collect any data, let's actually review EnviroInsite briefly. If I go over here and open EnviroInsite, you will see this is our facility over here. So I just loaded some shapefiles in here, and you see our different monitoring wells. And if I bring in the contours here, these are our water levels. So let's remove our shapefiles here so we can focus on that. So these are our water levels in meter. You see that over here we have lower water levels. So this could be an extraction well. Maybe we're extracting groundwater over here. And if we look at the gradients, actually, you can see that the flow of the groundwater is actually going into that direction here. So the water is flowing into that well, and it's probably extracted there, right? The data tables as well, these are these ones that I mentioned. These are simple crosstabs or spider diagrams, how we call them when they are plotted on a map. And we have three analytes here: turbidity, temperature, and the pH value over time, right? Very easy. And the idea now is that I set this document up before. You can save this as a document on your computer. And when I send in the new data, this will all update, and we will hopefully see the before and after then, and we will see how our water level is behaving and what our field parameters are doing, right? So let's maybe remove these things and just focus on the contours and go, well, kind of go to our field data collection here, right? So you have to imagine I'm in the field now. I collect groundwater data. So I am playing the role of the field technician now. So let's click on form over here in Edge and click on location. And that will bring up our navigation tool here that I already touched on briefly, our GPS tool. And I can simply select a location here that I want to collect data for, right? Now in EnviroInsite, if you look closely, maybe at these tables here, you'd see the location IDs on the top left here. So we have B48, B38, and B45. I would start with B38 over here. So let's go into Edge. B38, I have that selected. And if I click select, that will select that location for me, and I can start collecting data over there. So click on form over here and then on new record to add a new sample record for that location. And right away you will see that some of the fields here are pre-populated. For example, the coordinates, the lat and long values, they are coming from the EQuIS database. We had them before, right? So we don't have to measure these again. And the sample time, this is populated automatically with my system time, the sample date as well. So what's the deal with these red fields here? As you probably all know, red fields in EQuIS indicate required fields, right? So we have to fill them out. So let's do that. The sample type, I can click on this drop-down value here, and I just set up a normal environmental sample over here. And once I select that, you will see that this red warning goes away. Actually, we have an alert count over here. If you click on that, you will actually see where we are, where we have issues with our field data form. In that case, we are missing 3 fields that we have to collect, right? So close that again, and then we select our matrix. And when I select my matrix, it is groundwater in that case. Notice what happens with that sample ID field over here. That's interesting because it will populate automatically. So let's select groundwater, and you will see as soon as I do that, it is automatically populated with the sample naming schema that I set up here. In this case, it is the location code, so our syslog code from the EQuIS database minus today's date minus the matrix of our sample, right? So just the standardization here for our sample IDs, or in EQuIS terminology, the syssample code, right? So now we can go through the other fields here. Did I filter the sample? Maybe I didn't. I am the sampler over here, so that is fine. We put ice in into our cooler. That is fine. We don't need any comments. Over here, we can bring in some weather information if we like to do that. Maybe we have some mist. Say the air temperature is 18 degrees Celsius. So I'm in Germany, so that is Celsius. The cloud cover, let's say 75%. And for the wind, we say we have a light breeze today, right? Very easy. Just select your values from the drop-down list here to populate that field form in Edge. Now, for anybody that never worked with Edge before, obviously all of these drop-downs and the required fields and so on are user-defined, right? So this is all not set in stone. For your EQuIS implementation, you maybe see different sample types over here, right? Or you see different matrices over here, whatever is applicable to your project, right? So we have that weather information. Now let's collect some field results actually. I just click autofit quickly here. And once more, so that table fills up the entire space here. And if I click add, I can add some new field parameters. Again, you see that the time and the date is automatically populated, right? It's now 4:14 p.m. over here in Germany. So we can collect our field data now. So for the turbidity, I will just put in 5.1. And for the pH value, I will put in 7.2 maybe. And for the water temperature, that is in degrees Celsius. Again, in that case, let's put in 17.9. So that could work probably. Maybe that's a bit too warm for winter time, but that shouldn't be an issue over here. So that is how you can add field data here in the field. Now I'm showing the manual way to collect field data. The alternative is that you connect your sensor, maybe your field instrument, directly to the device that you're running Edge on, and then you can read in these values automatically if you like to do that. Right? But for that demonstration, I think that will do the trick. Right? And the same thing can be done now for the other application. So I could come into Form again, can click on Location over here, select the next one. I think the other one, one of them was B48, for example. So I could select that and do the same process again, right? And when I'm done with any form, I can also sign that if I like to do that. So let's click on Form and include a signature over here. Click on Signature. And that is obviously easier on a tablet, for example. So let's just put in some signature here, if you want to call that a signature, and click on Sign. And then we'll bring in our signature over here. You see that, and the form is grayed out now. So it is basically locked. You cannot change anything here. If I click these fields, nothing will happen, because when we sign one of these forms in Edge, we consider this form to be finalized, and we don't want to be able to change anything over here, right? Now, if things go wrong and you have to change something, you can do that. You can click on Form here, and you can click on Edit. You will have to remove your signature then. Then you can change the value you want to change, and then you can sign the form again to finalize it again, and then you can send it to the database. We could add some more details over here. We could add a photo, maybe from the location where we took the sample, anything like that. But for that session over here, I just want to submit the data to the EQuIS database now. Now, I only collected data for one syslog code here, so for one monitoring well. What I will do, and I pre-populated that before the session here, I will just load another EDD quickly that is complete, that has data for all the 3 monitoring wells, right? So if I come to home and open EDD, I don't need to save this. I will just find my EDD that I set up here, the populated edge EDD, and this is the one I saved it as a zip file, and I will open that. And this one has data for all the three monitoring wells that we want to focus on. So if I click on form and come to the location tab again, let's look at B48 maybe in that case. Select that. You will see that this has data for this B48 location, right? So at this point, our field data collection is basically finished. It was not a very complex collection effort here. We only had 3 wells with some very easy results that we collected and the sample, obviously. And we want to send this to the EQuIS database now, right? Now, with an edge, we have the sign and submit feature built in. So if we click on the home menu here and come to EDP export, it will ask us what we want to send to the database actually. You can select individual locations to submit to the database, and that is what I want to do in that example here. So let's select B38. That was one of the locations that we are looking at. B45 and B48, right? Let's just double check that maybe in EnviroInsite quickly. I can, by the way, I can label these wells if I like to do that. So go into the wells over here. I just double click that item in the legend. And then I come to the labels tab, say plot labels, apply that, and we should be able to see the labels. So B48, we can also see that in the table here, B48, B38, and B45. Check that. B48, B38, and B45. That's fine. And now we can send that to the database by clicking on that sign and submit button over here. Sign and submit. It will ask me for my username and password. I set it up so that it's pre-populated for me. It will ask me for the facility I want to send this to. This is Springfield, our demo facility, and the upload URL. So that is the EQuIS site that I want to send this to, right? And then I can submit that. Let's click that. You will see it sending the EDD, and it's saying your EDD has been successfully submitted, right? So the data has been sent off to the EQuIS database, and I can wait for my confirmation email now, which should come in 2 minutes or so. And then we can review that data in EnviroInsite. Now, while I'm waiting for that confirmation email, I want to show you one thing. I also created this cross-section over here, and I just want to show you very quickly how you can create one of these automatically in EnviroInsite. So I'm a geologist. I actually had to learn to draw these by hand. So that's way easier now in EnviroInsite, and this is how you can do that. So if you go to your plan view here, so the plan view is the map here, and click on cross-section here, create a new cross-section, you can draw the line of your cross-section on your plan, right? And I will try to draw lines through these 3 monitoring wells that we are looking at now. So let's start over here at B48 maybe, go through to B38, and then to B45, right? And I can do a right click, and that will finalize that. And when I do that, you will see that it will automatically create this cross-section for me. With B and this endpoint, we also have our plan view over here where we see our profile line. Now we have our surface elevation over here, and now we can bring in data, and I do that very briefly here. Let's click on plot, data locations. This is how we can plot our monitoring wells onto that cross-section. Let's do that. And just accept the defaults here. is fine for now. Let's click OK, and we should see our 3 monitoring wells, right? B48, B38, and B45. That's how you can create a cross-section EnviroInsite very easily. I already did that before over here. The other thing that I brought in was our stratigraphy. Let's do that as well over here maybe. If you click plot and stratigraphy and then the model, you can select your different units. We only have 2 in that case, which is very easy. Click OK, and I will plot the stratigraphy over here on that cross section. And now we can move the wells to the top so we can see them here. We could change the colors and so on. But that should be it for that little trick here. So let's move back to our plan view, and I will actually check my inbox over here, and I already see that I got my email, which is this one over here. I'll show you that. You see that this email came in like 2 minutes ago. This EDD that I just created in Edge has been accepted to the database. No errors were found. In other words, the data went through the EQuIS data processor. It was validated, and it was uploaded into EQuIS already. And we should see it with our reporting tools, actually, right? So let's try that. Let's do the following over here. I will hide that profile line here. We don't need that anymore. I will maybe also remove the labels from our wells. That's fine. And now I will do something so we can see the before and after on our contours. I'll just disable or deselect our data tables here so we can focus on the contours. And now I will grab that original contour for the water level, which is called contour 1, right? And now I will just do a right click and say duplicate, right? Which will create a clone of that layer in our grid over here. So I just move that up here and call this contour 2, and you already see that my water levels have changed here, right? If I move my legend over here, but you can see that. So this one was the original one, right? We had lower water levels over here where we probably extracted water. And this one is a new one where we also have lower water levels over here. Maybe we also started some extraction over here. Something happened, we don't know it right now. But this is the new contour, right? Pulled directly from the EQuIS database. Now, let's look at the tables and see if we can see something there as well. So these were the old data tables that we had. Maybe we can just focus on these briefly. And you can see we have field results for 5 different dates. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's just double click the data table layer and just click apply, which will refresh the data behind that layer. So notice as soon as I click apply, a new record will be added here. So I'll just click that. You see that over here, we now have 6 measurements, the last one from the 13th of March 2018. And this one, 5.1, this is highlighted in red because we have an exceedance there of our action level. I set the action level for turbidity to 5.0, so this one is an exceedance, right? So new data comes in, the tables update automatically. Now the last thing I want to show you here is on that profile view here. I included these time series charts for turbidity, right? Over here you see the legend. The blue one is the result for turbidity. The red one is our action level, right? Which is 5.0, as I said. So remember, for one of these wells, we had an exceedance here of 5.1, and this is B48, and B48 is exactly, sorry, it's this one over here. So we expect a value somewhere up here with our newest turbidity result, right? So let's double click that. Let's click apply here, and as soon as I do that, you will see how that updates. See, we have our news result over here, which is just above our action level, so we have mixed students over here. All right. So again, everything that we set up in EnviroInsite automatically updates when the new data comes in. I've recently been talking to a client, and there was a data manager who told me that that her managers, in that case, the project managers, want to see these things from time to time when there's a new sampling round. And the plan that she now has is she will just set up different documents in EnviroInsite. They will save them for the project managers. And as soon as a new sampling round occurs, they can come in over here. As soon as they open it, they will actually see the news data. Then and they can easily monitor that and keep in control of that. So let's recap quickly what we did. Maybe we can look at that contour again. So what we did was we set up this document, and I did that before, actually, before the session. We didn't look into that together. That would be a bit too much. I set up this document in EnviroInsite with our reporting features. Then we looked into Edge. We collected the data over here, right, with that electronic field data collection form. We also looked at the GPS tool in Edge to select our location and to see where we are actually. And then we reviewed the results in EnviroInsite, where all of these reporting tools automatically update. Now, I said that I didn't show you how I set these things up in EnviroInsite. Let me maybe show you one thing for the contours here. Maybe we can look at that one. If I double click that layer here, you will see the settings for these contours. And it's really easy to set up. All you really have to do is select the parameter that you want to use for your contour. In that case, it was water level. It could be an analytical result, for example. It could be whatever you like, right? And the important part for this workflow that I just showed you to work is that little box here, the data transform. You have to set this to last. That means that the last value, the one with the latest sampling date, is always used to plot your results on the map, right? You could set this to the maximum, for example. In other words, if you have 10 sampling rounds, the maximum results for every location will be used to plot that on the map. That is not what we want to do here, so we use last, right, to plot this. Now, there are some settings. This is all pretty self-explanatory, I think. The from and to, it's just the date range and so on. You can set up some the format of your contours, for example, the different intervals and so on. It's not really complicated. I'm sure you get used to that if you start using that. Right, so we are at 30 minutes. I see that. I think we can open it up for questions with that if we have any.
Oh, awesome. We definitely do. Thanks, Yannick. Emmy asks, can you demo creating bore logs? I don't know if you're prepared to do that. Okay.
Yes, we can do that briefly. So let's see. We have these over. Let's see if we come to plot on the top here. And let me find these. I didn't look into that before, but I will surely find this in a second. Boring logs, here it is, no worries. So boring logs, it will create a new window for you, right, over here. And then we come to plot. And you have two options. You can either create a log from scratch, where you have to set up the whole layout of that boring log, or you can do it from a template. And that's usually what you want to do. Usually we would encourage you to create some templates with your standard layout for the boring log, right? So I do that. I just pick a template that I have somewhere on my machine, if I can find that. I do that quickly here. I do that for one location for B32 in that case. Move that over here. Click OK. And I will select the logo I want to use for that boring log, and that will create that boring log according to the template that I selected. So the template is defining the whole layout of that, right? The columns over here, the field that we see on the top, and so on. This one actually has 2 pages. I think this is the second page where we have our filter over here. Right, did that help?
Yeah, awesome, thanks, Janik.
Sure.
Okay, Carl asks, is the signature stored as an image in EQuIS? And if so, what is it linked to? This is back to the EDD that you're submitting at Edge. He's asking if it's linked to either the EDD batch number or the location sample result that the Edge form relates to.
Yes, so it is included as an image in the data package that you create in Edge. And I think you can select what record you want to tie this file to. So it can be the sampler, for example, or the location. That's something that you set up in the Edge settings, I think. And if you go into the plugins folder, there are the settings, and over there you can link that, I believe.
Okay, great. We can find more information and include that in the recording distribution as well.
Yeah, sure.
Carl then follows up, the EDD file name that is submitted is not the same as the EDD file name that's saved locally. And this causes a huge auditing nightmare. And so his question is, are there any future improvements in store for the local EDD file name at the point of sign and submit as part of the EDD batch information?
So I'm not aware of any changes there, but we surely will follow up on that with the Edge team, I think, to find out if there's something.
Yeah, that's a really great point. Thanks for that, Carl. And he asks, what version of Edge are you using, Janik?
That's a very good question. Let me actually check. I think it's 6.6 something. Let's click on About here. We'll find this out. 6.51 actually. So it's actually not the latest. I think the latest is 6.6. Oh, if I'm not mistaken here.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Right.
All right. Kevin asks, can water levels be plotted on the geological cross-section?
Yes, they can. So actually, I will do that very briefly. So this is a cross-section over here. And if I come to plot water level and just select the water level over here, you will see these little indicators for the water level. If I select that, and I will also use the last value here. So you will see these blue indicators for the water level. Is that what you're referring to?
I think that's exactly it. When that question came in, it was around that same time. So, Carl asks, what if I have a dry well, like no water level for a particular measurement? Would LAST then pick up the water level from a previous round of sampling?
That's a good question. I'm not sure about that. We will have to research that a bit.
Yeah. I think it depends on if you record. Yeah, we'll have to find out. And then another question from Carl, or maybe a comment. My experience of EnviroInsite is that it is very regimented in needing specific elements of data in specific fields and tables in EQuIS, especially for borehole logs and geology cross-sections. EQuIS is often a bit more flexible in where this data can be stored within the schema, like PID values and DT result versus DT sample parameter. And so the question, what are Earthsoft doing to ensure the Edge format provides consistent data mappings across the board to ensure the data collected is stored in the correct EQuIS tables to be able to be used by all aspects of EnviroInsite? Or are Earthsoft considering developing a specific Edge-compatible EnviroInsite format that meets these needs? Cool. Quite the question, Carl.
Right. So both of these are very valid questions, I think. I'm not sure about the answer. We will have to talk to the Edge team about that as well, I think, unless, Liz, you know more about that.
You know, I don't. That is a really good question. I know that there has been some active action with our EnviroInsite developer and a couple of our different product teams. So this might already be addressed, but we can find out more and let you know.
Right.
Great question, Carl. I did also want to comment. I did put some information in the chat window while Janik was talking about some of the EnviroInsite information. We do have an EnviroInsite Academy going on right now. The first one was actually yesterday, and it's going on through April 25th every Wednesday. They're about an hour-long session and they each cover a different part of the EnviroInsite process. They're $100 US per session, but you can pick and choose whichever session might be applicable to you if you want to learn more about using EnviroInsite. You'll get materials and access to a training database and all that kind of stuff like you typically would with an EQuIS Academy. All right, so with that, I want to thank you, Yannick, so much for presenting this. This is really neat to be able to see it sort of cradle to grave in terms of watching that data workflow. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, or if you'd like to present a case study in an office hour, or if you want to sign up for future office hours, you can email us at officehours@earthself.com. So thanks everyone for attending, and we hope you have a wonderful day and weekend. Have a great one.
Thank you.